Hi doctors, Greg Friedman here with another bulletproof tip. So let's go into the program and we have an incident already created here. All right, and we're going to create a new visit. Go to the right here, click on new visit, and it's going to tell you the office visit date. It's going to default to today's date, whatever that is. So if you're doing this on a different date, make sure that you go and change it on the calendar. All right, so click OK for that. And now over here is going to ask you if you want the basic intake and review of systems information in that particular note. If this is the first visit for the patient, then you want to check both boxes and say update selection. If this is a subsequent visit and you don't want that information there, you would just keep these boxes unchecked and click on update selection. So for this, let's check the boxes and click update selection. Now it comes up with this. So what you want to do here is you're going to make sure that you've got the intake paperwork that you should have received when you got the program. If you don't have that, let me know. We'll send it over to you. Right? Make sure you have the patient fill that out ahead of time so they bring it to your office already completed if at all possible. So then you or your staff can go through that, and the back towards the back of the intake paperwork is going to be where their symptoms are. So let's say the first symptom was headaches. You click on headaches, and you're going to, in reviewing it with the patient, ask them which part of their head, occipital, frontal, and so on. Let's say it's occipital headache. Use the metric. So let's say they said it was a 7 out of 10, 85% of the time, gradual or sudden. Okay, let's say that it was gradual. Now choose the date. Now the date is going to pull in from the onset date that you put in the incident history. So if you had a specific date, you would click on that and it'll bring up that date. If you didn't know the date, you would just click on length of time and then put on about how many days, weeks, months, and years ago that the incident happened. Okay, so in this case, let's say there was today's date. It'll default to no trauma. If there was some kind of trauma, or it doesn't have to be trauma, but any kind of an incident that happened, even if they were just slept in a weird position, you would want to click on that and type that in there. So let's say this is no trauma. What aggravates it? You're going to go right down the list of whatever they said on that paperwork. What relieves it? Quality of pain? Is it radicular? Okay, remember we're looking for radicular here. Just click on that if it was, otherwise just say no. When is it worse? Outcome questionnaires. Doctors, if you haven't been to my seminars yet, outcome questionnaires are critical. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're documenting outcome questionnaires and their scores. All right, prior treatment, this is going to be on the paperwork. If you want to add in other information, now you don't go crazy with this, just other, maybe to give context, like maybe they have pain mostly between the hours of 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning, then it subsides, and then, okay, then you write something in there. Otherwise, don't worry about that. Okay. If there are other symptoms, you would hit save and next symptom and click on the next symptom and go for it. So neck pain, let's say on the right, your metrics, gradual or sudden. Let's say this one was 2 weeks ago. What makes it worse? Let's say there was no trauma. What makes it worse? What makes it better? Quality. Is it radicular? When is it worse? Outcome questionnaires. If you're not using the Bournemouth questionnaires, doctor, these are great. They're only 7 questions long, which is 30% shorter and 30% faster maybe than the Neck Disability Index. Okay, whatever you want to use though, that's just one I like to do. Okay, that's all you've got to do. Basic intake information. This is all going to come from the intake paperwork. Okay, if the patient was taken, let's put some of the stuff in here. Okay, just type in whatever they said on the paperwork. Okay, work schedule, just put in whatever they put in the paperwork. Okay, medications. The program will default to none reported. If they are taking medications, what I like to do is I want to document that stuff. So you're just going to click on here for new medication, type in the name of the medication, and then the reason for taking, and then okay. And then it's going to kind of highlight there, and all you got to do is click on the arrow so it brings it over to the left. Okay. Once you do that, it's going to save all the medications. These are all the medications that I've put in my computer here, starting up top there. So I just have to find it if it's in there. If it's not in there already, I'll add it like that. Okay. Review of systems, same idea. It's going to come right from the paperwork. So whatever the patient said on their paperwork, just add that in there. Otherwise, it'll default to negative with that. Okay, that's all it takes for the subjective visit for that or the subjective complaints for the first visit. When we exit out of there, it's going to the program is going to ask you if you want to save the changes, and then it wants to know if you want to sign the document electronically. So you definitely want to save the changes. The signing electronically, here's the thing, doctors. It's a requirement that electronic signature means that once you sign it, it's locked. The only way you can change it is to go in and manually have to change that, which is kind of a pain. So you do not electronically sign until you've actually reviewed the note and you make sure that everything is the way you want it. Okay. So I don't even, if you want to do that that day, that's fine. The other thing to consider is this: Medicare does require a signature. I usually, if I'm ever asked for records for a Medicare audit, I would just print it out and sign it with a pen. But if you want to sign this, anything other than Medicare, that's a state board issue. It varies from every state. In my state, our state board only requires the doctor's name, initials, or signature on each SOAP note. Well, my SOAP note has my name on every page of it, so I don't need to sign it. Check with your state board, okay? Because if you don't need a signature, don't worry about it. So what I do here in my state, I keep it unchecked and I say yes to save it. And that's it. Okay, and there's your tip for today.